today we are going to discuss about nationalism in India. This is a chapter taken from history. What do you mean by nationalism? Nationalism का मतलब क्या है? अगर हम हिंदी में बोले तो this is राष्ट्रीयता. Now, actually nationalism means feeling of oneness, a feeling of collective belonging, wherein the people living in certain region, they develop unity and strength through this feeling. And it also leads to development of a nation, concept of development of a nation. So what led to the development of nationalism in India? We'll talk about this. अगर आप हिस्ट्री में जाओ तो नेशन का कंसेप्ट होता ही नहीं था. It was all about kingdom. And these kingdoms were fighting with each other. They couldn't develop a concept of nation. Although we have an example of some powerful empires like Mauryas, Ashoka, who ruled over a large empire. Then in Gupta dynasty, we have Chandragupta, who ruled over a large empire. But as soon as these kings die, the kingdom used to disintegrate. Even in medieval age also, it was Akbar who ruled over a large empire. But again, after his demise, it started disintegrating. And later on, it was while fighting against Britishers, we developed the concept of nation and nationalism. In today's lecture plan, we'll discuss about impact of First World War on India. Actually, we'll start from here. If you think about nationalism in India, actually the story goes long back. That's to 1857. But you all have read about this in class 8th. So we'll stick to syllabus and we'll start from First World War. Then we'll talk about Mahatma Gandhi and his Satyagraha movement. Then we'll discuss about non-cooperation movement. Afterwards, we'll talk about contribution of young revolutionaries. For example, Shaheed Bhagat Singh. Then we'll talk about civil disobedience movement, and then we'll discuss about Indian National Army and Subhash Chandra Bose also. Afterwards, we'll talk about what led to development of sense of collective belonging in India. Okay, so let us start with the First World War. You know, students, the First World War was the first modern industrial war. Why? Because all the things which were used in the war, whether they were weapon, army dress, boots, anything, it was all developed, produced in the industries through mass production. That is why this war is known as the first modern war. And this war was fought between 1914 to 18. Why this war started? Actually, the war started with Austria attacking on Serbia on 28 July 1914. And this war had devastating impact on Europe. As soon as the war began, within few months, almost all the countries of Europe were involved in this war. To feel the intensity of this war, I would like you all to see this clip, and then we'll again discuss about First World War.
In your own time, gentlemen.
Must be something big if the General's here.
You have a brother in the 2nd Battalion.
Yes, sir.
They're walking into a trap. Your orders are to deliver a message calling off tomorrow morning's attack. If you fail, it will be a massacre.
We've got orders to cross here.
That is the German front line.
If we're not clever about this, no one will get to your brother. We need to keep moving! Come on! No!
If you don't get there in time, we will lose 1,600 men. Your brother among them. Good luck.
As I told you earlier that this war had devastating impact on Europe. Students, Around 9 million soldiers were killed in this war, 21 million wounded, and if we count civil casualties, it was around 10 million. Europe lost its whole one generation of youths. If we talk about Germany and France, they sent 80% of their male population, which was between age group of 15 to 49. So think about it. And it was at the end of this war when there was a spread of a global pandemic, Spanish flu. You all know currently we are in lockdown because of coronavirus. It has been declared global pandemic by United Nations, by WHO. So in those days also in 1918, there was an outbreak of global pandemic Spanish flu, which killed an estimated population of around 20 to 50 million people. So on the whole, this war had devastating impact. British economy also crumbled. It also declined a lot, and India was a British colony. So obviously, it influenced India also. So what was the impact of First World War on India? You can see in this picture, this is showing the impact of the war on Europe. Now let us come to the impact of First World War on India. As I told you, British economy declined. There was huge increase in defense expenditure. So how to arrange for that? Obviously, taxes were increased to generate income. Then custom duties were also raised to generate revenue. Income tax was also introduced during First World War. Then increase in prices also. During war there is a disruption in supply of consumer goods. So what happened? It leads to increase in prices. So the prices doubled between 1913 to 1918. Then there was forced recruitment of rural people in British Army. They were forced to join British Army and fight on the behalf of Britain in this war. During 1918 to 1921, there was crop failure and it resulted in acute shortage of food. Now when there is acute shortage of food, people will start suffering from hunger and starvation. So it led to famine. And because of this, there was an outbreak of an epidemic in India, which is known as influenza. Around 12 to 13 million people died because of this epidemic. Now you can see all these impacts, they are negative impacts on India. It's hampering our economy also. Now the Indian nationalist leaders, they started questioning the British Empire. That why India's resources are being used in the war, whether they are natural resource or human resource. And it led to development of a struggle against the Britishers in India. When we talk about the growth of nationalism in India, it is always related to anti-colonial movement. We had one strong enemy, Britain, our colonizer, and we all united against Britain. In India, we all were from different backgrounds. There's a lot of diversity in culture, language, religion. Still, we got united against a common enemy and we developed a feeling of nationalism. So finally, people, they began discovering their unity in the process of their struggle with the colonial government. And in this process, they developed a sense of bonding, a sense of unity, a sense of collective belonging. And then there was the entry of Gandhi in the Indian national movement. In India, the period between 1919 to 1947 is known as Gandhian era because all the movements were motivated by Gandhian philosophy. When the war was going on, there was a young lawyer working in South Africa. He had completed his law from London, then he went to South Africa and started practicing there. While living in South Africa, he became victim of racial discrimination. And there he developed a unique way of protest. That was a non-violent way of protest, Satyagraha. So he started Satyagraha movement in South Africa. He became quite famous there, and then he came back to India and started the same movement in India. Before we talk about the movements of Gandhi in India, I'd like to show you a clip on him, and while watching this clip, try to understand his struggle and what led to the making of Mahatma Gandhi.
Excuse me, sir. How long have you been in South Africa?
A week?
I don't know how you got a ticket.
Just what are you doing in this car, Coolie?
I have a ticket. A first-class ticket.
How did you get out of it?
I sent for it in the post. I'm an attorney and I didn't have time.
There are no colored attorneys in South Africa. Go and sit where you belong.
I'll take your luggage back, sir.
No. Just a moment, please. You see? Mohandas K. Gandhi, attorney at law. I'm on my way to Pretoria to conduct a case for an Indian trading firm.
Didn't you hear me? There are no colored attorneys in South Africa.
Sir, I was called to the bar in London and enrolled at the High Court of Chancery. I am, therefore, an attorney. And since I am, in your eyes, colored, I think we can deduce that there is at least one colored attorney in South Africa.
Smart bloody Kaffir. Throw him.
Just move your black ass back to third class, or I'll have you thrown over the next station.
But I always go first class. I've traveled all...
Steady! Go!
What?
That's the center! John!
We should lie down! 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 The horses won't trample on us! Lie down! Lie down!
Come on, you blokes! What are you doing? All right, give it up! Follow me! Follow me!
Some men change their times. One man changed the world for all time.
My name is Gandhi, Mohandas K. Gandhi.
Well, whoever you are, we don't want you here. I suggest you get back on that train before it leaves.
They seem to want me.
Long live Mahatma Gandhi!
Albert Einstein said, generations to come will scarce believe that such a one as this, ever in flesh and blood, walked upon this earth.
So Gandhi, he started his movement in South Africa and then he came back to India in 1915 and started his Satyagraha movement in India. When we talk about Satyagraha, what do you mean by Satyagraha? Satya ka Agraha. Satyagraha means Satya ka Agraha. That means fighting for the truth. And when you are fighting for the truth, you're not using any violent method. Your main weapon here is non-violence. So, We don't fight with the oppressor here in a violent way. We try to raise the conscience of our oppressor and make them realize that what they are doing is wrong. So it was a unique way of struggle, and this was infused in our national movement by Mahatma Gandhi. When Mahatma Gandhi came back to India in 1915, first he met Gopal Krishna Gokhale, one of the senior leader of Indian National Congress. Gopal Krishna Gokhale suggested Mahatma Gandhi to take a tour all over India and meet common people, talk to them, understand their problem. In this way, he'll understand India at grassroots level and he can guide the movement in proper way. So Gandhi, he started his tour and his first visit was at Champaran in 1916. Champaran is in Bihar and here he started Satyagraha movement against indigo plantation. Then in 1917 he went to Kheda district of Gujarat and there also he started Satyagraha movement against high revenue taken from the peasants. Then in 1918 he went to Ahmedabad and here he started Satyagraha movement with the cotton mill workers. So these three Satyagraha movement goes to the credit of Gandhi. By 1918 the First World War was over and as per promise given by Britishers to the Indian leaders that they should support them during the war and once the war is over they will give dominion status to Indians. But the Britishers, they broke their promise. Instead of that what they did, they implemented Rowlatt Act. This act was introduced in 1919. It's one of the suppressive act introduced by Britishers and as per this act, it gave Britishers enormous power to arrest anyone on the basis of suspicion and imprison them for 2 years. Now you all know very well that when a person is being arrested, he has got some rights. You have already read this in Criminal and Social Justice in chapter in class 8th. That he should be presented in front of magistrate within 24 hours of his arrest. A trial should go on and then he should be imprisoned. But here all these rights were violated. So Britishers, they started arresting leaders, imprisoning them for 2 years. And Indians reverted back. How? Through launching Rowlatt Satyagraha. So, in our next series, we'll start with Rowlatt Satyagraha.